Mic check. Hello everyone, my name is Walt and you are here in Riga, Latvia at Riga Music Week, the first one in ever built. And yeah, we also have this music technology showroom and discussion panels. Today my guest is Thim from Austrian Audio. Hi Thim.
Hi Walt, thank you for having me today.
Yeah. First time here in Latvia, Riga?
Yes, it is actually, yeah. And so far so good.
Excellent.
Great atmosphere, great team, so enjoying it.
Yeah. So Austrian Audio, as the name says, it's a company from Austria. So what's your goal? So headphones, microphones, and maybe something else in the future?
Well, what else can you make if you do microphones and headphones?
Yeah.
But yes, you're right. So indeed, we're an Austrian company. And I think from, if we look to our slides and we look to the history, there is one really famous Austrian brand, three names, AKG of course. And we are actually former AKG. So our CEO, founder right now, was former AKG manager, Martin Seidel. And when AKG became part of the Harman Group, now Samsung, they decided to move R&D and manufacturing. So what they did is, okay, we know we're going to be jobless in a few months. What are we going to do? Are we going to move in with AKG, yes or no? And actually a large team decided to not do it. So what they almost literally did on Friday, they ate cake and said, well, the end of the AKG era. And they were jobless for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. And on Monday they all started with Austrian Audio. And they popped a bottle of champagne to the beginning of the new company.
From office to the new brand?
From the new brand. And in the beginning days there was a lot. They had a new building where they started. But all the furniture they took over. So our anechoic chamber we use for measurements is still the same. They used in AKG times. We still see some desks in the office around where there's an AKG sticker on it, where they put now an Austrian Audio sticker on top of it, of course. And well, in the beginning they started with more or less 45 team members from day one. So actually there was a full setup company with a lot of experience, but with a different name. And from there on the drawing started. And, what are we going to do? What do we need to do? What are our ideas? And yeah, Austrian Audio started. And yeah, I said we continue. And to today, so started 2017 to 2025 right now. Of course, we missed a few years because of the COVID period. We actually have a great portfolio and we're expanding every year more and more. And that goes from some of our latest release on the left side, the OCS 10, a large studio condenser, up to a wireless heads with everything in between. From stage mics, studio mics, etc.
Yeah, you're also growing in weight. The latest one is 690 grams.
Yes, yes, it is, and it is also a really big
Company is growing, mics are growing.
Company is definitely growing. As said, we started from zero. There was nothing. Of course, we had a lot of history, a lot of ideas, what to do, what we needed. With AKG, of course, in headphones and microphones, there was a large legacy. But we needed to start from scratch. And that's where we started with our flagship OC818 and OC18, where we'll dive in a little bit later on to get some cool tools we put in, because these days a microphone is not just only a microphone, it also is a system. Yeah. And I think we did, or the guys did some really cool things. I just joined about 3 years ago, so wasn't there from the start, but really enjoyed it. And as you can see, we have a few things in our line, which, for instance, on the vocal mics, we have a few things we believe in strongly, and in this case, open acoustics, and we try to move that on to the rest of the line. And of course, after microphones, we also do some headphones. Again, interesting range. At this moment, we count like 6 headphones, different types. Next to our hi-fi range, we also have a hi-fi range of audio headphones. But again, everything from recording, mixing, some of our top lines, the 65 and 60, to some of our introduction lines, 25 Bluetooth hybrid model with USB-C, mini jack and Bluetooth, to some of our cheaper. And of course our Composer, which is our top line headphone at the moment, but more focused on the hi-fi listening. So, one of the things, the heart of a microphone, and I mentioned before, and I try to avoid it a little bit because, yeah, we can live on a large heritage from AKG, but with something new, with something different. But the legacy sticks to the company, and one of the things, and I think that's one of the groundbreaking products in the world, is the CK12. Probably most of you know it as one of the, as the standard in the industry, one of the top 3 standards in the industry. And yeah, we designed our CKR12. And interesting part is, one of them is that, and I'm truly sorry, I forgot the name of the original builder of the CK12 at the moment, but we brought him back in-house to redesign, to support us with the redesign of the CKR12. Because if you look to CK12, it looks really old. It's made of brass, there are some little screws on top, which were making the tension of the membrane, which was really solid. That was really difficult to do. And it was mounted to something which is for membrane not ideal, because ideal situation is that the membrane is floating in the air, and that's it. So this was our first task, to come up with a new heart of our microphones. You can almost say that we started with creating a platform from where on we started to work through our line. So CK12 was started. One of the first of most important things is to create something that will live out of time, so it doesn't age. Production will be better, where CK12 was nice, but because of the difficulties with the brass to make it consistency, this is something we could do. We're also like 50, 60 years older, so technology developed. And we came up with CK12, which was made now from industrial ceramic. It's the same like if you work in a kitchen and you take a sharp Japanese knife they use in sushi, that one will be first unsharpened before you got a scratch on your kitchen. And the same is here. One of the big benefits is that it doesn't age, so it won't sound different, but it also will not, there will not be erosion or corrosion on the metal.
Is this capsule from omnidirectional, so it's from both sides, or this is only carbon?
The CK12 is a double-sided capsule. This is built in also our OC818, double-sided, so we can do figure of 8, that kind of omni. We also have OC18, which is only single-sided, we call CKR6, with only on the front, which is a default cardioid, or default, but the cardioid membrane. The capsule is built in Vienna in our factory, hand-built by a really experienced team. I think the main employees working since 1990 on probably again the same desk, different brand, but the same desk, and they make them by hand. And because of this, all the testing you do, we can produce them in a really narrow tolerances. So we don't sell them as matched pairs, but I can guarantee you, if you buy an 818 right now, and you buy one in a year or 2 years, it will be still matched within 1 dB of tolerances. So that's one of the big benefits we have in our capsules. Second thing, large condensers, 1 inch, amazing, but we need more in our portfolio. So one of the legendary CQ1 membranes in the past, we designed our own OCC7 capsule, small condenser, with all the things from there. But again, one of the most important things, what I think, is that we have a high sound pressure level. We can go up to 156 dB. So put it on a snare and you will still have no issues. Pretty low cell noise. And what I always like on this microphone, I'm actually more like a front of house engineer, pop touring kind of thing. So small condensers, probably have one on stage on a hi-hat somewhere, and that's it most of the times. Now started to have Austrian Audio to dive into this, and what I think is that, especially even on loud volumes, it still stays really neutral. It doesn't become really harsh and spiky, and even when I apply a lot of EQ when it's needed, the microphone reacts really, really nice to it. So this one you will see in our small condenser microphone, CC8. This is our small condenser, but we also put it in our instrument microphones or in our vocal condenser microphones. So second heart we built in the company, and one of the, as I said before, we live a few rules or beliefs, and that's open acoustics. And if we go back to what ideal microphone is that the membrane will be floating in the air, free, no touch points. But we need to take it with us, we need to bring it somewhere, so we always need to build a housing around it. So a few things we did is in our design, and you see it on the 3 points where it's hanging into the housing. That's our mechanism to hang it, but the rest all is free. And if we think back about the first slide where we saw the old CQ12 membrane, it was mounted on the bottom, so it will always have more touch points and it's not free to move and to hang. Well, of course we need to make a housing, and some points like OC18 we need to make some concessions because we want to have it a little bit smaller, to have it portable, to take around. But you see there's not a lot of housing around it. On the bottom there's a little bit of a black part. This is some kind of diffuser absorber, specifically designed and patented with us for reflections. If we look at our OCS10, which actually has a rather large grill area where the membrane hangs, and the same membrane is in there, but only the special picks more, so really narrow tolerances. Think about 0.3 dB difference max. Has more space, more air in there. So we really live up this open acoustics and without any coloration because of building it into something to make it portable. So a few technologies we use, more to read, actually what I said most, but open acoustics, a few technologies we put in. But yeah, as said, headphones is the same we do. And what is a headphone heart? In this case it's the driver. Another interesting piece of design. We designed our own 44mm driver for the headphones. Based on a ring magnet system. I will not go too deep into it. I want to focus a little bit on the microphones at the moment. But again, another interesting take we designed on how to do it. And one of the cool things also in this one is that even if you take our cheapest headphone, the HiX15, the same driver is in there if you take one of our most the top line units, the HiX60 or 65. So the same driver is in there. And that really makes a consistent sound all over the range. And yeah, gives this typical Austrian Audio signature on it. With a low THD, we are low in impedance, 25 ohm. So,
and I think for all of the headphones was 25, yeah? Because they have the same driver and...
all same driver, same impedance, same... So, again, a platform-based, so in the headphones you literally actually, why is it a little bit cheaper? Probably production and mechanics. So yes, there is a difference in how it feels and how it sits, but in some cases that's less important than having a great sound, which we can offer even in our in the bottom of our range. So some cool things we do, and that's why it's one of the reasons I think I went for joining the company, is because yeah, microphone is a microphone. It picks something up and it does something, a lot of choices, and I will not deny that I'm that live engineer who will be like, oh, we got an extra instrument or whatever, put something in front of it and it will be fine. But these days with technology, with IDs. We can do much more. And we have some bright people in the company who designed 880, and they put all kinds of cool stuff in there. Yes. So, of course, some basic things, some specs. Yes, we can do pretty large SPL up to 158. The internal shock mount is there because, as I said before, the membrane is hanging on 3 points on a rubberish solution. But we have multiple polar patterns. So we go figure of 8, hypercardioid, and cardioid, dual cardioid mode, omni, and we have a preset mode. And this is going to be interesting. This one I will dive into because we have a microprocessor on board, which we can control, of course, by switching. It's needed for the different polar patterns, but we also can do it remotely. One thing to really emphasize is that the full analog part, so there's no digital path in there for any conversion or whatsoever. The microprocessor is just there to control the voltages to create different polar patterns in there. So that's one point. And of course, some of the more default settings, I think, is that we have high-pass filters and selectable path for inputs. To get all of these, get the most out of it, we needed to create an additional output, still to become pretty portable device. We created an external output on the back of the microphone.
It's a 3-pin or 4-pin mini
oh, I need to check. At the moment, it's actually a 5-pin.
Ah, 5-pin.
And the reason before that is that there's two options. The first one, in this case, it's where we're going to look deeper in, is that there is an additional cable which will give you a 3-pin XLR output, so you can record front and back membrane separate from them. One small, really important note is that you set both gain the same level, so when you do this recording, the front and back side gain, 2 channels need to be at the same gaining. The other thing is that and we dive into that later, is that we have a Bluetooth option module available, and we have an app available for your iPad or your iPhone, or any mobile device actually, but as a stocked Apple user, I will always refer to that, where you can control a few things. We will look into that later, but it also gives us some new technology. So instead of getting out of my nice comfy chair in the control room and do some setting changes during the recording, I can just sit down, relax, connect with Bluetooth as needed, and do some changes from a distance without standing up and losing any time. But where I want to go a little bit today is some plugins, because that's the other next cool thing, and I didn't mention so far, is that when we can do some polar patterns, and we can control them by selecting the switch and saying, hey, now I'm recording omni, hey, now I'm recording figure of 8 or whatever. But with today's thing, everybody works in a DAW, has a computer. There is people love to play around with features. One of the things we can do is we can load in a plugin. So we're going to change polar patterns. And to understand it a little bit, I added in this actually simple slide. Is that when we have a default polar pattern on the left side, 2 cardioid membranes facing up each other, default setting of the microphone, and we sum them together and we do 1 in minus, you will get to a figure of 8. If we do it in a plus, you will get to an omni situation. Easiest way to understand, for me as a live engineer, it's the same like putting subwoofer, cardioid subwoofer setups. You will have similar things, put 2 subwoofers on each other, it will add, turn one around, it will cancel, you will do an opposite phase with some time delaying if needed, and you will have cancellation on the back, push to the front, and all the other options in In between you can play, because as I said, we have a microprocessor on board and that control voltages. And the voltages in this case is when we put all to 100%, we get the solutions we just saw on the other slide. But when we play with the voltages of one of the membranes, you see that there is something happening with the way we're looking at it. So we're coming from a figure of 8 and an omni. We can immediately go to a supercardioid kind of setup and everything in between, because just change the amount of voltages, to a white cardioid setup, and again change the amount of voltages. So we can play with these polar patterns in all these little steps. So that brings up to us to a lot of steps. So different polar patterns, so different behavior of the mic, different sound of what you're recording. Yeah. Let's go to some of the cool stuff. Is what I said. The Bluetooth adapter is here. We can do it with our app, which we'll see in a second. But we got 4 different plugins available, apps available. The first one is the Polar Pad app, control your mic from a distance. We got the Polar Designer, so you can create polar patterns after the recording, so in post, which gives you some advantages. We got a stereo creator, so stereo technique recording and mixing is something we all use a lot, like to add room sound, etc., etc. We can do some crazy things that in the post-processing, and we have an ambi creator for ambisonic recording, which is upcoming these days. I will not dive too much in that today, but focus a lot on the Polar Design and stereo creator. Quick glance of our app. As said, just get it on your phone. You will see that there is the polar pattern, which the microphone is currently at. With the slider below it, we can do everything from figure of 8 to omni in between. So we can do really a lot of steps. We can control the mic from a distance to do the high pass filtering, do the pad, because in the bottom you will see the green bar. When there is an overload in the microphone on signal, you can see that there is overload, and you can engage pad to get away from it. So there's also a monitoring tool for during recording. And as I said, well, 255 polar patterns available from a distance and to play to get the right polar pattern and the right sound combination for you. But what I really started to appreciate and needed some time to get there is one of, for instance, is the Polar Designer. So plugin, free to download. So go to a website, you can download it right now. It's free of charge. If you have any double-sided membrane microphone already, you can play with it for sure. Yes, of course, there is no AI or whatsoever in this. It's pure based on mathematics. Yes, I would lie if you get the same results of any other manufacturer, because the distance and the size of the membrane has influence on the calculations, but you will get at a fairly good point. When we look to the Polar Designer, it looks maybe a little bit overwhelming in the beginning, but actually it's quite simple. What we can do is on different frequencies, up to 5 different bands, we can change the polar patterns. So when we look to the polar pattern, and you see it on my nice drawing on the left side, is that on the top you will see that it's the front capsule, and the back is the back capsule. So that's where you're going to change. And you will see that you can play with, hey, do I want some more of the direct source if you record it from the front, or do I want more from the room? So in this case, it will give you some taste in sounds, 255 choices per band times 5 available for you to play around the room. Then we see a few other things. Actually, also we have some equalization control for free field of the diffuse field. We can do some proximity control, and another thing, and hopefully we get to that, is terminator control. So we based again on mathematics, so no crazy AI algorithms. We can maybe get some hi-hat out of a snare recording, because again the SPO are high enough to put it on snare, and if you play the snare and hi-hat, you will have some bleed in there. Do we delete all of the snare bleed? No, of the hi-hat bleed, sorry. absolutely not. But the 63.6 to 8 dB, which we can get away by creating the polar pattern, so changing what we pick up in specific frequency areas, will give you a lot more benefit during the mix process when you do some compressing and don't want to have this excessive bleed. With sometimes actually the benefit that the sound of the snare in this case will change, and sometimes actually in the good. And this is all happening before you start to touch any equalization, saturation, compression, gating, whatsoever tool. So it's still only your raw recording, you change what picked up, how we do it, and then we go into the mixing process. Yeah. So like always, I'm ahead of the slides. Let's just take a look a little bit to the plugin. I prepared something. And there we go. As said, the plugin is freely available to download. This is our latest version, completely all Apple silicon compatible, etc., etc. And what I did for this example, I recorded a kick, nothing fancy, just a guy in a room playing some drums. I put my 818 in front of the kick, not just against the, what do you call it, the skin. From the back, recorded, same levels, same IDs, and basic setting. And I hope on the stream you can hear it, but it started to sound like this. Yeah? So it's okay, I've got a little bit of a boomy low end, boxy in the low mids, and personally I would like to have a little bit more of the attacky in there. So, but one thing obviously I can do is start to grab my EQ and cut stuff out of it, but then everything in that range is gone, and sometimes a room can help to make something sound better without having actually to record the direct sound. So as said, I think the low end is a little bit round, and now if I start to change the polar pattern to be more cardioid, you will hear that I have maybe a little bit less of the low end rumble, but it's much more tighter, less room, more of the kick, and better solution. Maybe I want to change the frequencies a little bit and say, okay, what needs to be a little bit lower. I personally think the kick sounds a little bit boxy, but
yeah, these are the
maybe the speakers, but let's see, let's try out, okay, maybe a little bit less kick, but I still want to keep the room in there. So instead of cutting those frequencies, so everything is gone, I just say, okay, we bypass the kick, so instead of using the front membrane, I'm gonna lean more on my back facing membrane. And now you see that it
more jazzy kick drum.
Indeed, well,
yeah.
we can play
Softer,
with it,
yeah.
but we take away that boxiness a little bit, and we still have the room sound in there, in those frequencies. So I personally like maybe a little bit more of the attack in there, so I'm maybe gonna be hanging here a little bit. Maybe one side now is that
we are talking also dBs there, or it's a kind of core? Because you see the ratio, 0.2.
No, that's
0.3 is a kind of...
That's the how much voltage you apply the settings between these steps. Because here we are in the figure of 8, and here we are in the omni. As I showed you in the slides, there's this 255 steps in between you can play with. So we're just hanging again a little bit here, and the kick starts to sound a little bit more what I maybe already would touch with EQ, but I not even touch it. So I still have all my EQ, everything available, and I just manipulate what I recorded, how the microphone should react to the room.
Do you need to bounce the track, or because imagine if I'm using for multiple channels the Polar Designer, do I need to like, I want to save this kind of pattern, so I can bounce it and use as an audio as a...
Well, in your DAW, the way it's set up is actually relatively
on the bus
easy.
channel,
I just take two channels, left and right, I pen them left and right and push them to a group, and the plugin immediately say, hey, the left channel is the front facing membrane, and the right channel is back facing, and then it goes back to left right. And then you can, from there on, you can process it further on into the channel. And on this way, I think we already have a really cool plugin available to shape the microphone. So from recording something to optimizing the recording, because in this case, probably when I get here, the drummer already is in his car driving home, calling his wife that he will be on time for dinner. Because the take is good, we can tune sound, but instead of moving, changing things, this is. So a really great tool during the mixing stage, post-production stage to do so. One of the other things I wanted to show you quickly, and I'm cheated here a little bit because I did some settings already, because it will take some time. And like always, you will see it goes horribly wrong when you do it live in front of a camera. As with the polar patterns, I said, is that we can change how we record stuff. But that also immediately applies, when I said before, is that maybe you can take out spill in certain frequencies. And when we're gonna look to another track, let me make it a little bit short. Come up. So, same drummer, same session. He played the kick, but he also started to play on a snare hi-hat. Snare recording, OC8 18 on top of it. And what we will hear is that there's a lot of bleed on the snare recording from the hi-hat. So what happens if I open again the Polar Designer in this case, and to prove you that it's actually the full recording, nothing happened. It's not AI that we're gonna remove everything of the hi-hat, because then we will always have some more removal of the original sound with the snare. But some other, if we would do, and again I did something a little bit, and I hope it comes out as nicely as it was earlier. You will hear that there is a little bit less of hi-hat in there. It was a little bit too much still, but less hi-hat, different sound of the snare. It's moving a little bit. So, which will help you again in a later stadium during the mixing to avoid heavy extra hi-hat when you do compression kind of stuff. There's a nice step over here, so you can actually pretty simple to give you a ballpark. You first play a little bit of the unwanted sound, so you first let them hit a few times on the hi-hat, then you let them play a few times on the snare only, and then together our algorithm will do some of estimation and give you a cool ballpark to say, hey, this is where you should be. Of course, like every engineer, we are a little bit stubborn, so you can do changes afterwards, because to create your own perfection. So, a little bit of insight in some of our cool plugins we do, which is, as I said, making not Austrian audio only a microphone, but like a microphone like 818 is making a real system with a lot of versatile options in it.
Super. Thank you very much, Thim.
Always.
So yeah, on this second floor of Tallinn's Pagalm's house, you can find Thim and check how it's built and ask any other questions.
Absolutely.
So yeah, super. Thank you very much for coming to Riga, Latvia, and hope to see you in next time.
Who knows? Next year.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Super. Hey everyone, it's awesome. This is already second day and second discussion. Today is my close friend from Estonia, Karmo, Sonic Distribution, and I think, hi, Karmo, yeah, first of all.
Hello.
Yes, I think this is your third Sintēzes or even fourth, no?
I think it's fourth.
Four, yeah, okay. So,
I don't remember which year.
Maybe you was on also the first one, which was in 2019.
Where it happened.
Also in the Skanjepes Culture Center.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, so then because I'm counting this is the fifth one, so maybe you was on all of them five. So, because there was a COVID time and then
yes.
Some pauses. So yeah, you came today to tell us more about immersive audio in music, as we can read.
Yes, that's the thing, because I see that immersive audio in gaming and movies are already there, but not so much in music. So idea was just to show what we can do to help get the immersive audio to music as well.
Can we tell that immersive audio is the same, no, not the same, but is in the part of these names as Dolby Atmos,
yes.
Ambisonic?
Yes.
So everything above 4 speakers, let's say that?
Basically, yes.
So, okay. So
5.1
it can be 23 or?
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many you have them. But also Apple Music is saying this partial audio.
Partial, yeah, even.
Yeah, this is also, it depends what form you are using to listen it.
Yeah.
You can name it whatever. But immersive is something you're inside that sound. Also those dome setups and whatever.
Cubes and
cubes,
domes and
yeah.
Nice.
So I think it's there.
And one of the brand can actually do this because all these are headphones.
These are also offering them in the gaming range in Maxwell headphones. I will show you later. And also universal audio sound cards, interfaces, because you need interface for that. But yeah, I have some presentation, and I will start with universal audio. Old company from America, and of course they are known for legendary analog gear, but nowadays we are more on the digital world, founded in 1958, but in immersive setup we would more think of interfaces. And of course, for immersive audio, you need more channels, more outputs to connect your speakers. But with the UA, because you can connect them, you can use the smallest Twin or X4 as a monitor controller on the table as a knob.
Oh, okay. So
it's no problem. So I don't know how much have you heard the latest ones, the Gen 2. But now, basically for immersive audio, to make the setup, you would need X16 or X16D, the Dante version. So it's quite okay. I put some pictures of what we have. We're separating desktop and rack ones, and today we're talking basically only about Thunderbolt connection ones, because X16 and X16D are connected with Thunderbolt. And here we have the smallest ones. Basically the Solo is not so easy to connect in this side, but for the Twin and X4 you can use them as monitor controller basically. And also the rack ones to expand, but X16 Gen 2 and X16D with Dante is the ones to use as interface. But of course you can use whatever interface you have with enough channels, because usually the immersive starts with a 5.1 where 5 speakers plus the subs, or you can go to 2 levels like 5 or 7 on the ear height, 2 or 4 on the top, 1 or 2 subs. And in the immersive setup, here is how to connect them. And in immersive setup, the life goes easier with universal audio with the cooperation with SonarWorks you can calibrate. If you don't have, for example, Genelec speakers, what have the internal DSP, but have any other speakers, then the SonarWorks makes the life much easier to calibrate the speakers.
And we talked with SonarWorks that actually the SonarWorks calibration tool it runs Apollos even Gen 1s,
Yes.
not even Gen 1s and Gen 2s.
Yes.
So everyone who has already Apollo Gen 1, so you know that SonarWorks calibration can go through it. So yeah.
Yeah, but it's much easier and much simpler life if you can calibrate your speakers and what you hear is something is intended to hear. And if you're doing the work, mixing, then you can get the sound as good as possible. And from that, it can be listened wherever, and it is like the best quality. Otherwise, if the sound is out of balance, then it can sound really good in your car radio, but really bad in your phone, for example, or something like that. And of course, the SonarWorks Corporation does the bass management, everything. So, and it's ready to use in immersive setup. So there's no problem with that there. And it helps if you don't have speakers with DSP inside the speakers. And yeah, there are some presets what you can use with the different speakers. You can do mixes for Dolby Atmos, Auro 3D, Sony 360, Reality Audio, others stereo, whatever is needed, because formats are different. Different places need different audio formats. So this is from the interface side, but of course possibilities to use different interfaces are huge. Whatever you would need to use or whatever you have. If the interface is ready to run immersive audio, then world is big, possibilities are huge. So from the interfaces we get to headphones, because headphones are basically the first thing to test your mix. And if you don't have like 5 speakers, then maybe the headphones are the good starting point.
And also you can switch the rooms and be whenever you are. So headphones you can take with you, but your speakers and your room acoustics you can take to your grandparents' house.
Yeah, that's true. And with the headphones, Audis is something we're offering, and Audis have the gaming headsets. But to understand what makes Audis different is their like history. They're not so old company. They're founded 2008, but they have got to quite known all over the world. I think you have sold quite many Audis headphones as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Here and there, and making them more known. But yeah, it started from the garage in America, American company, and now they have grown and made new products. So the product line is basically started with LCD 2, and today we're the latest one, the LCD S20s that are also available here to listen, is not here yet, but
yeah, my first experience with Audis was the headphones which I can't afford, because when I saw the brand, I opened the prices and I see, okay, 5,000, 3,000 and something. But right now we ended up even with 500 euros model, and I think upstairs on the showroom you have even, the newest model is also between 500 and 600
euro range. So, but the gaming headset is basically between 300 and 400 euros.
PlayStation and Xbox.
PlayStation and Xbox. And with those you can do also some initial mixes.
And these Maxwells are together manufactured in cooperation with Sony, yeah?
They have the Sony licensing.
Okay, Sony licensing.
PlayStation 1's Xbox have Dolby Atmos renderer in there. And that's why the price difference as well. But yeah, this is the range, and the technology behind it all of these headphones are planar magnetic that are like mostly known, and it helps to get the sound even clearer and more natural, and there are not so much distortion in this sound, and that technology is made possible by special magnets that are delivering the sound. And from the picture you can see that the side that is not used to produce sound is not so effective. So most of the magnet's power goes to producing sound. It's reduced. So if you take out the magnet from the headphone, you can see that one side attracts to another really well, and if you turn the magnet 180 degrees, then it doesn't. So that helps with the sound as well. And also the waveguides that Audis is using are specially designed, and same thing, to get as natural and equal sound as possible, and it helps a lot. And to that there are more.
This one? It's on the PCBs, yeah?
Yes,
okay.
It's the voice coil, so it's really thin voice coil. The picture here is not so well seen, but basically, yeah, the technology helps. The sound is so much different, so much clearer. Yeah, of course, that's why the headphones are maybe a little bit more easily to break, because if you push them together, you can break the film that is really thin, or you put them to the table and push on them, it can break the film, and then that's the thing. Whoever uses them, just to remember, or you can put two headphones together or push them to your head. It can all affect the outcome. But in immersive side, we should talk about Maxwell headphones. They are dedicated for gaming, but they have the immersive audio built in them. So basically you can check your mixes from your phone, from the computer on the go. Like
even if you're not gaming, you take these ones for immersive.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. You go to the countryside and can do the initial mix on them, check what's up, and then come back to your studio and listen on the speakers, or go to your friend's studio or wherever you want to go. And the difference between the Xbox and PlayStation is the license. Dolby Atmos license with Xbox and PlayStation have their own system. But they're both working on PCs and computers. And you can use the dongle also with your phone, because it has the USB-C connection. And they're sounding nice. And also if you have, I don't know, many meetings online, the microphone is really good with the AI noise cancelling and everything like that.
We are not making the Zoom calls anymore so much.
Yeah, we are. People like Zoom
we
calls.
between.
Yes. But people like still Zoom
people
calls.
doing. Of course, I'm also mostly.
Because if you have some meeting and don't have much time, then let's do Teams or let's do Zoom, and this can help also in there. But yeah, initial mix on music design as well. And then we get the frequently asked question. One is the little bit crickling sound. If you listen, move your head, the diaphragm can make a little bit sound, so it's normal. And yeah.
And crickling sound when you move your head, yeah? This is normal because
the
diaphragm is changing.
The very thin film is moving a little bit with the air. And it can be, and with the temperature change, it can get a little bit different, so it's normal. If you play music and it's over the music, then there is an issue.
And a lot of studios has this same problem when they leave their headphones on the desk and forget about them. But actually, the signal is going maybe sometimes on the maximum. But they just hearing the speakers and they forgot about the headphones. They are blasting. And they take the headphones. Oh, but I didn't use it. Why there's some cracks? So.
Yes.
And even with the close backs and so on, yeah, you can hear them and so on.
Of course. Mm. It's really.
Which is your favorite headphones, or which Audis is you are using on daily time?
I think I like the LCD X's the most, but like most of studios, between LCD X and MM500, because they are there with the prices as well. Yeah. But of course, if you take the flagship LCD5 model, basically you have two speakers on your head. You get the same feeling as the speakers in the studio.
Excellent.
But LCD5s, you can come upstairs and
it's a
listen.
5K, yeah?
Yes, yes.
So whenever you are right now in the office or home and you're planning to visit us, we are open with music technology, synthesizer, drum machines, microphones, and even the Audi's headphones till 8 o'clock. And after that, there is also events.
Yes.
Live acts. But here's the speakers.
And
Genelec.
if you want to hear more, I think in T-Studio
also,
shop there's
also
some demo headphones. So
LCD2, I think also. Yeah.
And if not, Waltz can order them in and you can go and listen.
Yeah, that's true.
Of course. Some Maxwells maybe? Do you have?
Yeah.
For demo?
Yeah, PlayStation, I think.
Yeah. Yes. So now to Genelec. And for Genelec, the life is much easier if you know where to look stuff. So Genelec have really good homepage to check out all the immersive audio and all the things that is available with the speakers. Genelecs are made in Finland, still not moved to China like quite many manufacturers. And the quality is really good. And for me, I have a feeling that every studio have to have a pair of Genelecs at least. Because if you have a guest, people know what Genelec sound is. Do you agree? All the studios you go, have you sold all the studios some Genelecs?
Yeah, of course. I built the Dolby Atmos studio with Genelecs in Riga, and also Immersive one in Liepāja, which is a countryside of Riga. Countryside, no, different city.
Yes.
But yeah, the name, when I was visiting the demos and the trainings about Genelec, I really love the idea about the name.
Yes.
Genius Electronics.
Yes.
So Genelec. So that's I always remember that.
That's true. But yeah, with Genelec you have DSP inside the speaker, the SAM series. So you can do the calibration inside the speaker using whatever interface you have. And like I told, the webpage is really good. So immersive audio formats, you asked them before, here they are. Starting from Dolby Atmos, and that is 714 for the home setup. That means 7 speakers on the ear height, 4 on the top, and 1 sub. And from there it goes up and more speakers up to, I think here we have this ETUR and Pure Research, where you have 4 layers of speaker. Usually they are placed like dome shape to understand how the sound is.
I think we built one with 23 in a kind of a cube and 1 sub.
Yeah.
23 pieces of 8010s.
Yes.
The smallest one, 3-inch Genelecs.
Yes.
But yeah, these are also very interesting, because in Austria they have a kind of club or venue where they're also built in under the floor, and and then you build all the rest.
And also in the live world, music live world, there are processors nowadays. I think theaters are using quite many, but also in the live situation, if you're electronic music DJ or producer and want to have like surround sound. The processors are there to use and see how it goes. So that's no problem. But yeah, if you want to check more on the immersive, then Genelec homepage under immersive is really good and really useful. And basically they have also some solutions ready-made. If you're thinking, I want to get something for my small home studio.
Case studies with the models,
Yes.
actually. Does this GLM kit, which is calibrating software for Genelec speakers, works for all of these immersive setups, yeah? You don't need anything else?
Yes, if you have some speakers, then it's no problem. And also you can control them there, you can solo them there, you can make different groups. You make group of stereo, you make group of 5-1, whatever is needed, and it's click of the button. Or you can use the Genelec latest interface that is like extending the GLM options to some buttons and the volume knob. So yeah, here are some examples of like ready-made systems with Genelec, bigger ones, smaller ones, just to get an idea what to choose from and make life easier, because knowing Estonians don't want to talk with other Estonians. We're like Finnish people. So it's easier, scroll in the internet and I want these.
Yeah, and actually what's the best part that Genelec is making the hooks and the stands for the speakers to hook it up, so everything can be done,
Stands and everything, so yeah, this kind of big studio is really easy, and if you're building a studio nowadays, then it's really good to find, and the GLM network helps with that. So getting everything connected, getting everything calibrated, measured, really easy. And yeah, this is one school picture of this smaller research dome to do the audio research, and the smart active monitor range is really big. Here are the coaxial ones, 3-way speakers. The last one on my side is 5-way speaker.
And the best part, you can get them on different colors, and even with the
ones, yes, 120 colors. If you wish to get pink speakers to your studio, call Waltz and he will sell you pink speakers. Minimum order 2 pieces. Yes.
Excellent.
So yeah, and other stuff as well in the Genelec webpage. Where to put the monitors, placing, how to choose correct monitors. So if you want to study more on the speaker side, last week we had a training in Riga about Genelec monitor placing and immersive, so some students visited. So yeah, genelec.com is the page to go and
actually there is everything, so
yes, really easy. You don't have to go shopping around. You just write to T-Studio, I want 7 speakers and
you show the picture, the screenshot of the website.
Yes, basically it's possible. But yeah, and if you have the right gear, then it's really easy to go and make your music immersive. Because nowadays, I think Spotify updated to immersive. Apple Music is already doing it quite long. And I think
a lot of movies and video.
If you want to do some gaming sound,
also
less than 5.1 is not an option. Same with films. I think Netflix anymore don't take stereo sound mixes.
You need full.
Yeah, you need at least 5.1, but Atmos would be much easier and better. And the music is getting there. I see more and more mixes popping up in the streaming platforms. So this is basically the immersive of music.
Excellent.
Just let's make music in immersive.
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming also this year to Sintēzes and showcasing these unique instruments from these brands. And yeah, on the second floor you can see Audi's, Genelec, Universal Audio, and also the
More
and more.
and more.
More, yeah, the racks for these compressors and different stuff. So thank you very much, Karmo.
Thank you for inviting.
Yeah, and see you on the next discussion panel, which will be in around 5 o'clock. That's correct. See ya. Ciao, ciao. Hello everyone, my name is Walt and we are here in Tallinn Street District at 2025 of SINTÄZE, a music technology exhibition. Here in discussion panel I have my next guest from Gamechanger Audio, the co-founder Ilja. Hi.
Ciao.
Ciao. So nice to meet you here. This I think is already, I think you have been on all of the Sintēzes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
We're,
Of course.
like this is our hood.
Yeah, our neighborhood.
Our neighborhood.
So yeah, regarding the Gamechanger Audio, this year also has been challenging for you because new pedals are coming out, the motor synth pedal, the also auto series. So and also I think also this year you launched this plasma modular.
That was last year.
Ah, last
yeah.
year, plasma.
But yeah, like we always working on something for sure.
Yeah.
So the most recent release is the motor pedal. So the motor pedal is essentially, it's a guitar version of the motor synth, kind of like oscillator. But when we first decided to build the motor synth, it was like the first ideas for the motor synth, it was something around almost 5 years ago now, like 2020. But so the motor synth, like the main challenge with the motor synth was to get, like to develop our own proprietary, like this motor oscillator system, right? So like the technological challenge there is to make sure that the motors that we use, which are DC brushless, like electromotors, that they reach the necessary speed reliably and in a precise way. I was just giving Risto a demo of the motor synth, and it's pretty crazy. I think I showed you all the sounds.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that those sounds are created with electromotor like signals being filtered down and shaped. So like that's the kind of the whole spirit of Gamechanger Audio, is to basically
make something unique and
make something unique. Yeah, like there are so many interesting things out there and so many classics and so on. So we don't want to kind of like build those instruments again, because they already have been built. So we have a incredibly passionate kind of team of engineers who are also a little bit crazy and a little bit stubborn, and we always want to come up with something new, just because like that has been historically like the way music technology always moves forward. You know, you create like a new interface or a new sound, and you can be sure that when it comes to the right, when it like goes to the right hands, the right musicians will always find ways to use the new sounds. So in this case, the motor oscillator is a perfect example of that. And like the reason why it took us a long time to come up with a guitar pedal version for the motor oscillator is because for the motor pedal, the motor oscillator block, we kind of took that sort of from the knowledge that we had like developed, more or less developed block from the motor synth. Mm-hmm. But the second challenge, that's another challenge on top, was to create a really, really precise and enjoyable tracking algorithm. Mm-hmm. Because guitar tracking is a big problem still. Obviously, it's not so problematic if you have like MIDI pickups or hexaphonic pickups or something like that. Mm-hmm. But if you just stick it into like from a Telecaster directly into a mono synth, the results are going to be very wonky, or you know. Yeah. So basically, like during our like auto series pedals development, which is a different story, the one you mentioned earlier, the previous like these semi-modular pedal lineup, we spent a lot of time like fine-tuning and perfecting a really, really great guitar to control voltage pitch tracking algorithm. So that's the whole point of the auto series, is you can translate the audio realm into the control voltage realm in any way you like. You can even track any synthesizer. Mm-hmm. So once we had that developed for the auto series, and we already had the motor oscillator block from the motor synth, the motor pedal was relatively simple kind of development, only took us like 6-7 months. So we just put those two things together, add a gas pedal and some other crazy shit, and there you go. Yeah. So
can we guess that, okay, there's a desktop motor synth, there's this pedal, then maybe you can implement also this mechanical rotating into modelers? Kind of smaller?
Yeah, like we could, theoretically, we could make a motor oscillator as a standalone module.
But only one spinning motor, so it can be how many voices? Endless, but...
Well, you can have one voice per module, and, you know, depending on the size of your rack and so on, you could potentially like expand. But like polyphony in modular is like, that's a big problem anyway. Yeah. Like, so yeah, theoretically, like, this is kind of where we are right now, where we, at this point, we've been in the industry for about 7 or 8 full years, and it's amazing how many interesting like separate blocks like of knowledge we already have developed.
Yeah, it goes actually together.
And right now we have, yeah, like we feel like we're in a really interesting position where if somebody is going to build like a module with a motor in it, that's probably going to be us, and so on. And speaking of that, like the plasma voice, like you mentioned earlier, is a perfect example of that. So plasma voice, for those who don't know, maybe I can use this chance to explain, like the plasma distortion system. This is how the plasma distortion system works, and that's something we developed way back as our second product in 2018 or 19, over those 2 years basically. So it takes audio signal and it converts the incoming audio signal, so it uses a step-up flyback current transformer that basically creates high voltage, low amperage kind of like these discharges, and basically expresses the incoming audio signal as
distortion.
As like a extremely high current at around 3,500 volts. So essentially you can think of it like this, like if you have a guitar cable, if you cut the cable in half, and if you make a millimeter gap between the cable ends, you will have dead silence because it's a dead connection. However, theoretically, if you keep increasing the voltage of the audio signal in the system, theoretically, at some point, the signal is going to start jumping over to the end, between that millimeter gap. But it would take a exponentially larger and larger amount of electricity, like voltage, to actually make the sparks jump over a wider gap. So, and also like, if the electricity is traveling through air, then it would make also a crackling acoustic sound. So the way we solved it is like the whole discharge is happening in between two electrodes, and the electrodes can be this far apart or even this far apart, as we have in the plasma rack.
Okay.
And the reason why it's able to travel such a large distance is because it's encapsulated in a xenon gas tube. So the xenon gas is an inert gas that allows, sort of acts like a lubricant, essentially. So it allows the electricity to travel between those electrodes more easily, with less resistance, and doesn't produce an acoustical crackle because the gas ionizes. So that's the system. So we take audio signal, we crank up the voltage, and we completely destroy the original audio signal, and it just passes from one electrode to the next one. And then it goes to ground, and it's dead. The original signal is gone. Underneath the glass tube, there is a pickup antenna that's tuned, sort of like an AM radio system. It's tuned to the same discharge frequency, and it demodulates basically the inducted signal and converts that, normalizes it back to 1 volt, which is the audio level, and sends that to the output. And that's the plasma distortion, basically. So like, it's a relatively simple system, kind of. And it could have been even engineered in the 60s, but it's just like, we are the first ones who came up with that. So that's really cool. So so that's the plasma distortion, and maybe somebody will find this useful. So yeah, but however, for the plasma voice, what motivated us to build that was the fact that like a lot of people were using the plasma distortion not just for guitars and not for recording like this kind of metal stuff, but a lot of like music producers and
a small slice, and just 5-10% of the
exactly,
richness, which also
so
we do for the synthesizers at our store. So
yeah, like
we
drum machines and 808s and all
yeah.
this stuff. The YouTube is full of these clips. Like so the plasma pedals like kind of like gels really well with the synth world. So I started also like playing around with like cooking up basically all the synth lines and so on, sending them through plasma. So that at some point we thought, okay, let's create an oscillator out of this. So the plasma voice is a high voltage oscillator. Essentially, we're using the same kind of transformer, only tuned a little bit, the same spark gap, which is this xenon tube. But here we're just sending little points, like little sparks, across those electrodes, like tick, 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 like this. But they're sending them at audio rate. So at some point, those sparks become like sounds like that.
So waves. And how many waveforms you had options?
So there is a. It's not a classic kind of.
Approach,
you can't really get anything normal out of your plasma voice, sort of. And it's all based on like these engines that are specifically tuned to create something that's like a cleaner wave, a more crazy wave, a more noisy wave, etc. But there are 49 different engines in the plasma voice. So there's 7 banks of 7 variations. So 7 bass sounds, 7 lead sounds, 7 metal sounds, 7 drum sounds, etc. And those sounds, you can treat them as like engines essentially. So
and your own rack has multiple of them in your modular rack. So you're like using as a sound engine over there.
So my personal rack is like I have 4 rows of 124. And the top row is just 6 plasma voices. So I'm using 6 plasma voices to prove a point, basically, that modular synthesis is all about playing around with electricity anyway.
Yeah.
So all of the sound sources in my personal rack are like all the boom and all the tsh and all the tss, all that stuff is just made out of high voltage oscillators. Obviously, it's topped up with like a drive section and filters and so on, and but yeah.
So can we guess? No, not guess, but you're definitely working at something new for 2026. So can we? Maybe you can spill some moments about that one. But what can you do?
Yeah. So like we are working on currently like we have a. We are building, like we've kind of finished developing the second version of our most popular pedal, which is the Plus pedal.
Infinity Sustain.
Yeah, the Sustain pedal, that's like the piano pedal. So we have the second version pretty much ready. And we're going to be launching it in the beginning of next year. So the second Plus pedal is going to be called Plus 2 or Mark 2 or something like that. It's absolutely awesome. I really, really don't know. Like I can't wait to launch it. So that's going to be the beginning of the year. So then my guess.
It's still a good seller, yeah. This Plus pedal.
It's still like one of the strongest sellers for sure. Over 7 years now on the market. So yeah, but basically we've learned a lot of stuff in these years, and also simply like Moore's law has like brought the compute power up a little bit, so we can do a little bit more stuff with all the processing. So yeah, the second Plus pedal is the most exciting thing that's coming out like the soonest. And then at some point next year, we're definitely going to take the plasma oscillator and put it in a pedal format, similar to what we did with the motor pedal. So it's going to be a guitar mono synth pedal. We're going to implement our kind of like tracking, tracking algorithm, but basically to bring this like plasma oscillator to the guitar world as well, so another mono synth pedal, probably at some point. And let's just say that we have other interesting things planned as well, like some surprises. Some of them relatively
So something
soon.
for the NAM, for January, something for the May, for
something
Superboot.
for Timmy, something for yeah.
Nice. So yeah, do you have any questions? Please talk, Chris. No? Okay,
Guys,
super.
thank you so much for listening. Let's have a round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone who came, who listened at YouTube, and see you next year also on SINTÄZE. And thank you, Ilja, for doing what you're doing.
Thanks for organizing SINTÄZE. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, super. Thank you. Ciao. Nice.
Yeah,
So it's
okay.
short and simple.
Oh,